Now we're moving on to the third session focused on health. We're calling it a blueprint for successful digital transformation in healthcare, and it's a keynote that it's going to be offered by Jorge Juan Fernández. He is the Chief Innovation Officer at Hospital Clínic de Barcelona, and he has had to deal with it, so let's find out what he did and how he did it. The floor is yours. I will give you right now the
clickers. We'll start with the clicker, no problem, okay? Hello, everybody, good morning. Like every year, great pleasure to be here, thanks a lot. Usually the red to go back, the green to go ahead, thank you. So great to be back. Thank you, Tech Barcelona, for the invitation and for the invitation to Hospital Clínic Barcelona. I want to talk about today about the blueprint for a successful digital transformation in healthcare, okay? Which, unlike what the MC said, I don't have all the answers, right? I just have a few experiences and people that I've talked to, but I'd like to share with you some of the good insights that could work for you in your places, okay? And I want to start with just breaking the ground with this idea that there is a clear mismatch between what you hear in conferences and what you read in LinkedIn, and what is really happening in most healthcare health settings. Okay, and that's if you only attend conferences and read LinkedIn, you think that the world is different one that we're living in, right? And I see lots of faces nodding, so that's important, right? I'm sure you've seen this meme, which is very, very common on LinkedIn and other places. This is Elon Musk. He's famous for a couple of things, let's say. He said self-driving cars in 2 years. He said that in 2015. This is Geoffrey Hinton. He's famous also for a couple of things. He's a Nobel Prize, #1. And #2, he said in 2016, so eight years ago, that radiologists will be obsolete in 5 years, okay? And this is 2024, a bunch of radiologists in regular cars driving to work, okay? So, that's the reality out there, and, we are here to transform, as the previous panel was saying, right? The important message that I want to convey is that you should not confuse digital projects, doing digital things, with digital transformation. That's very important, okay? There's lots of digital projects out there, lots, because there's lots of technology, right? So what is digital transformation? What is it? Let's go to McKinsey, use McKinsey for one of the things that they're good, which is providing definitions. Digital transformation is rewiring of an organization using technology, right? So it's rewiring the full organization, doing things differently, people, processes, products, different things, okay? And in order to do that, companies, they need to do much more than just, getting hardware and software. That's very important because a lot of the conversations when we talk about digital transformation, it is about technologies, right? But there is much more. Companies need new ways of dealing with talent, growth, leadership, and change management. And these, three of these four words, talent, leadership, and change management, is what is really, really important in digital transformation, okay? And what I want to share with you is a blueprint. So some of the things that we have found that make sense and work when we're trying to do digital transformation. I have grouped them in these 5 categories. People, we should always start with people. Data, strategy, mindset, very important, the mindset. And then the resources, a few of the things with the resources, okay? And I'll go one by one with them, right? So let's start with the first one. Digital transformation requires starting at the top. Very, very important, okay? So what does it mean? That every executive in the organization must be all in this thing to be ready for you, right? If you don't have the support of the CEO, my suggestion is that you wait for better times, okay? Just, do your own project, try to transform your small reality, but don't try to change everything. It's just not possible, okay? Very, very important, okay? Using, again, McKinsey for some of the things that they are good, I like to read this. This is a successful digital transformation touches a broad range of an organization's functions so they can work together in new ways, okay? This requires large-scale and coordinated investments. And this is the sentence that I like. The only person who can make that level of sustained change is the CEO, Okay, so the CEO is the only person who knows and sees every single thing happening in the company, right? In the hospital, in the pharma company, right? So it's really, really important to get that person on board, okay? So you need to get the commitment, the visible commitment, not just in the small room, but in the large rooms, in the medium rooms, everywhere, of the ownership of the company, the CEO, the C-level executives, and the key stakeholders, right? So the first one is starting at the top. Once you start at the top, you need to build the right organizational foundations. What does it mean, right? It means the following. You know, I really like this cartoon from the Marketingist. He says, he's like, oh, you know, your job is digital transformation, okay? It's not about disruptive technology. We need a whole new way of thinking across the entire organization, across the world, you know? This is one of our top priorities. We're all counting on you. Good luck on this summer internship, okay? So, you know, basically we try to give, you know, the ownership of these really, really complicated tasks to one person, give them really short periods of time, little money, you know, few people in their team, etc. And that's not, it's just not working, okay? That's a very important thing. How to do that? You need to be building the right organizational foundations. What does it mean? You know, you need to create new positions. We're very good at creating new titles. If you search in LinkedIn, there's tons of new names of what you can find in an org chart, you know? Chief Innovation Officer, Chief Cybersecurity Officer, Chief Data Officer, Chief. You know, it's everywhere a chief, right? Very important to get someone in charge of this. You know, creativity is good, but for this position, it's really, really important that we get all the things together, right? And then we need this person to be able to work and rewire processes across the organization and across the patient journey, the patient service, the customer service, you name it, right? For that thing, very important thing, find the person first. Usually when you talk with the CEOs, they try to work with the boxes in the org chart. You know, we'll do this, we create that. No, just look for the right person and then try to move on first thing. So first, following Jim Collins' advice, first who, then what. You know, get the right people on the right places on the bus, right? And then the second, make sure that you choose the right person, because the wrong profile brings the wrong approach. And who is the wrong profile? Usually traditional IT people, and I have nothing against traditional IT people, but IT people in healthcare have been, you know, in hospitals, for example, been very much onto developing and implementing and deploying electronic health records, departmental software, etc. Okay, and this requires, you know, more other things, right? So very important to do that, right? 3, starting from the right place, and that is data and its quality. Here in Catalonia, we like to say that we have tons of data, tons of data. We are the masters of data. We're sitting on a pile of gold until we talk to the Israeli people, and then we know that we have less data. But everybody that says that we are doing, that they're doing, they are just cleaning data. Okay, it's the normal place to start. No problem with that. Okay. So people talking about digital transformation, they always start talking about technologies. Myself, I have lectures on the topic, and I can, you know, illustrate with some of this as well. But, you know, this is one approach, is talk about the technologies. The other is just all other people are just talking about data. You know, we have lots of data, you know, data everywhere, okay? My point of view here is that more technology does not translate into better healthcare outcomes or overall performance, and more data doesn't translate into better health outcomes or performance or better performance, okay? So the important thing is having the right data clean in place, right? And it doesn't mean to have all the data clean and perfect, right? It means just the data that you need. For example, I was talking to the NH people, and basically, they're doing something interesting thing with the Palantir group, and they told me that for all the things they're doing, they're tapping only into, I think it was 70 data sets. Okay, they have like thousands of data sets, but they're just tapping into, you know, 70 data sets. Okay, that's the important thing, choosing the right data that you want to do things with. Okay, so unless you have a good data set, everything you do on AI or digital will be totally useless. Okay, so that will be number 3. Number 4, and that's really challenging, using the cloud to the maximum. You know, the cloud is very dangerous, right? Very dangerous. You know, it can kill you, right? It's just the typical thing. If you talk to a healthcare provider, you know, it's patient data. How on earth are we going to put our patient data on the cloud? You know, Amazon Web Services or Microsoft Azure or Google Cloud. Oh my God, these people are evil, okay? Well, Conversations at the beginning are very complicated because, these type of conversations, surface. But the really important thing is that, it really makes, pay for the effort at the beginning to be a speed at the end, right? Very, very important. So I encourage you to have those conversations early on so you can get speed down the line, okay? At Hospital Clinic Barcelona, we did that. We have a partnership with Amazon Web Services. They're very good. Everybody's very good on that thing. But the important thing is that it helps you to do things fast, okay? So it takes time to do this, but then, it pays off at the end, We did that a year ago, moved everything into production. We are the first hospital, at least in Europe, who have moved all the clinical data from an electronic health record into the cloud, and that is serving us to accelerate the type of things that we are doing there, okay? Number 5, prioritizing the right projects. That's very important because usually when you try to do some transformation in any place, you get someone in the door that asks you, hey, I want to do this, I want to do that, right? It's very important to pick the right projects, okay? What does that mean? I have created I don't know how to call it, categories of digital technologies out there that I think is useful to think about the technologies, okay? And it's all self-made up. I like the names of the two. The third one, I don't like it a lot, but you might help me with that, okay? So the first one is what I call structuring technologies, right? So they are not very fancy, right? They'll never call you for this from La Vanguardia, El País, or the Financial Times, but it's really, really important, right? For example, some things is just computers that work, right? So that they don't take 10 minutes to open up, for example, right? That's one thing, right? Also, it's, traditionally, if you think that your people should be mobile and should do things, if you buy them a fixed computer, then you're just attaching them to a table and to a chair, right? So you just need to be thinking in these things, also Wi-Fi and these type of things. This is what I call the structuring technologies, right? The second is what I call POC or R&D technology, so proof of concept or research and development technologies, right? These are the fancy words. This is what people like. This is what people come to Tech Barcelona to hear about, okay? I'm just not that type of presentation, okay? So this is the metaverse and the digital twin and the blockchain and the Web3 and the multimodal AI, and you name it, okay? There is a lot of things. If I get into biology, we can get into gene editing and other things, right? So tons of things here, right? And then the last one is what I call value technologies, right? So certain things that are AI that are already working out there, that they're regulated, that they pay off, they're implemented in places, they've tested, they're published, they're everything, okay? And then sometimes they're just, proven software solutions. I really want to do a small presentation sometime in the future about just, products below 30,000 euros that you can implement in a hospital and that just transform the organization, right? Why do I separate these things in 3 buckets? Basically because, the ones that you should avoid if you're doing digital transformation are the ones in the middle. Okay, the ones in the middle are just, for, public presentations, LinkedIn, and European projects, okay? So just to be clear, right? So this is what I call the explorer, right? And it's totally fine. We need to do it, but, if we're in the business of transforming organizations, what we need to do is concentrate on the structuring technologies and the value technologies, right? Help me find a better name for value technologies, please, next time, okay? But very important to get that, okay? So you need to be working on those things, and then the one in the middle, just give it to other team for that to work out. Number 3, and connected to this, is what I call the niche solutions versus the transversal solutions. Okay, in healthcare, so maybe pharma, medtech, in hospitals as well. There's 2 types of applications. One is what I call the niche applications, which are very, very targeted, very clinical. For example, early detection of pancreatic cancer, right? Or AI in mammography of women over 45 years old, white, and who support Real Madrid, okay? So, these type of things, right? On the other side, you have what I call scalable applications, meaning those applications that can be scaled across the organization, sometimes, if things are right, is scaled across the healthcare system or the hospital group, okay? What is the problem here? The problem here is, let's say my take is, you should make the right bets, right? Just think in terms of what makes sense, be strategic about it, right? Why is that? Because usually, these niche applications, these clinical specialties is what the European grants and the competitive grants are looking for, regardless if it's European, national, or regional, okay? Or sometimes also the sponsor opportunities from pharma companies and medtech companies. They really be working on these, the pancreatic cancer and the mammography and all these things, right? And then the others who have really a lot of leverage and potential to scale and to create impact, nobody likes to pay attention. It's really hard to get the attention of executives, right? But there is really, really interesting work to be done here and to get out of that, right? So for me here, things in operations, traditional operations, and biomedical imaging are very important. Let me show you two cases here. The first one is from San Juan de Deu, Children's Hospital down the road. Basically, they have created this predictive algorithm on bed availability 24 hours in advance. In hospitals, one of the key resources is beds. If you don't have beds, you cannot get patients inside, okay? And that's why sometimes you get in the news that you have patients in places that they are not supposed to be, right? And every day, it's a key challenge to understand which patients will be discharged, will be sent home, and which still need to be, at the hospital, right? So with this algorithm, what they're able to, to understand is to know how many beds they will have available, right, in the morning. And they can do that 24 hours in advance. That's really important, right? Helps them to, to get health access to demo patients, and they are not just, doing these things on their own. At Hospital Clínic Barcelona, we have a chatbot at the imaging department. We've just started a few months ago. Our problem was that patients were not showing up for lab tests that they were already programmed to attend, okay? We decided to do a pilot in an area that was working very well, right, which is bone density, and we created a chatbot who basically does two things. He calls patients 2 days before their lab test, their bone density test, and it's a chatbot, so it's not a person, right? And it basically tells them, hey, you have a test in 2 days. Are you coming? Yes or no? Yes, good. If you're not coming, are you coming because life got in your way, or because you're never coming to have this, right? So we can use those, right? It calls 3 times during the day from a regular number, not one of these long numbers that we used to call from hospitals, right? And nobody knows what it is. But the important thing is not a reminder, it's a confirmation, right? And it's a machine doing the call, it's not nurses or admin people, right? The outcomes, we moved from 12% of no-shows, which is a good number in terms of no-shows. We have higher numbers in other places, right, to 5%. And this means 70 new slots available for patients per month, right? So this is creating health access for 70 new patients in a small place, which is bone density, right, which is working quite well. Imagine if we are able to do things with more expensive technologies like MRIs, CT scans, PETs, and all these things, right? So, as I showed, two very simple technologies that allows people to improve operations down the road. Good. Number 7, thinking in long time horizons. Very important, right? I mean, people, I don't know why, we only think in days or seconds or minutes, right? I think that's what digital brought us, right? But it's just counterintuitive. We need to be thinking longer time horizons, right? We need more people thinking, in other ways. There's a bunch of people in organizations that need to be thinking in days, and totally fine. What needs to be tomorrow? Perfect, right? There's a bunch of people who need to be thinking what needs to be done next week. There's a bunch of people who need to be thinking what needs to be done in the next 2 or 3 months, right? And then there's a bunch of people who need to be thinking, okay, what needs to be done in 3 years, okay? If you're doing digital transformation, if you're doing transformation, right, you need to be thinking in decades, right? Really, you need to be thinking, okay, what is going to happen in 2100, right? So we are now starting to, operations to build a new facility for Clinic Barcelona. We're not thinking what is the right hospital for 2035. We're thinking what is the right hospital and the right setting for 2135. And I don't even know how to pronounce it. 2135, I guess we'll say it, right? So we really need to be thinking long, so we get the right ideas in our brains, and we are just not, concentrated on the last metaverse, blockchain, Web3 technologies, okay? Very important. It will take 20, 50 years to accomplish these things, so we really need long-term roadmaps. We really need it, and very important as a mindset is that we need to be impatient with the actions, but patient with the results. So we really need to be patient with the things that we're doing. We need kicking people's asses, but we need to be patient with results because they don't come in days, weeks, or months. They take time to come, okay? Sorry, number 8, a dedicated budget. That's strange, but it's very similar to what happens in families, right? If you have a budget for Christmas and then you decide that you're going to spend it in something else, then the kids might get angry, right? So, if you think that, the way to do digital transformation is taking money out of your previous budget, that does not work, right? Because you'll get more reactions, more people against, change management will be impossible, right? What you need to do is you need to find money, right? It's a problem. Yes, it is, but that's how it works, right? It's the challenge that comes with it. You need to think what it is that you want to do, and you also need to find money to do it, okay? So very important. So find money and don't cut it from other areas. If you do that, you'll get into trouble, right? And then the last one is have the right business model in place. Why is that? Because you will be acquiring, you'll be buying pieces of software, pieces of hardware from, startups like the ones that are here, from, different, large established corporations, etc., right? And it's very important that you use the money from my previous recommendation, to pay for the right things. What are the right things, okay? Well, I'll start with what are not the right things. You should not pay for the number of beds in the hospital. And all of these that I'm going to share is startups coming to me, telling me that, the price is this because you have 750 beds, right? I don't care. The number of users in the platform, I don't care. €1 per test, my economic director doesn't care. Okay, just to be clear, this is not visible. You have this business model, go back, please. Data. Okay, I don't care. The algorithm, it's high accuracy. It was done in Stanford, Harvard, MIT. I don't care, doesn't work. Or nothing, it's for free. Nothing is for free, that's the product. You might want something that we truly value, right? So what you should pay for, very important, this is healthcare, very, very important. You should pay for outcomes, That's it, right? Outcomes, right? If you're doing things that tell me that improve health outcomes or improve efficiency outcomes, now we're talking. Super happy to talk to you, right? If you tell me about beds and data, and you want €1 per test, we are not in good terms, right? So you need to find that, okay? Now, let me finish with a couple of ideas, right? I've been very disruptive today. I think you're never going to call me back again. Some food for thought for today, okay? So the first thing, the main message is that, to me, digital and AI is not something that you buy, right? It's a transformation that you lead, right? And that's very important. And leading transformation means basically, for me, 2 things. Leadership and management, okay? These words are not very fancy or less fancy than technology, but this is what really transforms. What does it mean, this thing, right? This means that these are really the difference between a business transformation and a digital transformation. Usually business transformation, it finishes, right? It's just, you change something and it finishes, right? Digital transformations, they never finish. They're ongoing, right? So most executives will be doing this for the rest of their lives. I've been doing this for 15 years, and I think that I will retire. It will not be accomplished wherever I will be, in 25 or 30 years that I think it takes me to get to retirement, right? Very, very important, right? And here I want to finish with my cubic test, which is, this is the type of thing you need to talk tonight with your significant others at home. Okay, I got this guy, he was talking about other things, but he talked about the cubic cube. Okay, thank you. So, it has different colors and everything. How many of you have done the cubic cube? Thank you. I knew that it was wrong, and now you get it. Rubik Cube. Thanks a lot. Next time I'll put it there. Rubik Cube, okay? You can tell that I was never able to do it. Anyway. How many of you have done it, the one on the left, have just play with it, everybody, right? At some point, okay? How many has done one side? Yeah, me too. I can do one side at home, okay? How many of you have done the full, 5 people, it's difficult, right? Because suddenly it's not about the side you're doing, it's about other things, right? This is what, digital transformation is about. A lot of people, in healthcare, we're doing digital projects, just, fancy things, using different, fancy tools, etc., to be out there, right? Some people, and I'm very happy to say that in the last 15 years there's been a transformation. Some people have managed to do, this digital transformation that at least, I managed to get one side, correct, which is good, right? That's good. The real challenge is this, right? And the challenge for this, it does not mean, just to be clear, the Rubik Cube. Oh my goodness, they're going to be talking tonight about that. There was this guy who was unable to pronounce the Rubik Cube. When I talk about transformation, the full cube, I don't mean a hospital without doctors or nurses or anything. I mean the ability to use digital to transform the whole organization, which means many things. It means there is an energy transformation that we need to be doing about. Healthcare is the most consuming sector in energy in the world, probably. Okay, we separate it. I think it will be the most consuming in terms of CO emissions to the planet. There is also transformation in terms of gender balance. Hospitals are full of women in the medium and lower ranks. They are full of men in the upper ranks, right? So we need to do that transformation as well, right? There's a transformation of people don't need to go to the hospital for everything. They don't need to consume drugs for everything, There might be digital tools that can be used for that, right? So that's the real challenge, how can we do the Rubik Cube, from all the 6 phases, right? And then with that, I understand that it's very challenging because we're in a situation where we're caught between things that are being built at the moment, right? And things that are being unbuilt at the moment, So the future and the past, but that's the challenge we have, and I really encourage you to keep working because, as somebody said in the previous panel, we owe it to the future generations, and certainly that's what we need to be doing, right? So I hope that this blueprint serves for you, and really happy to be open for questions or for, some conversations during coffee. Thank you very much for your time.